Okay, it's time to rank another soundtrack, and this time I'm going to be doing Rad Racer and Rad Racer II on the NES. Now, normally I don't combine games or rank an entire series or anything like that, but Rad Racer and Rad Racer II only sport 5 songs between the two games, so considering how small each of them are, I'm just going to put them both together for this ranking. So I'm just doing the 5 race themes, the songs that you hear while you're driving. There's not really much in the way of the soundtrack the rest of the way for either game, really, so there's nothing else really to rank. For Rad Racer 2, they actually had titles, and in Rad Racer 1, they didn't. You just selected the songs while you were playing, whereas in Rad Racer 2, you selected which song you wanted to hear beforehand. So I'm just going to call the Rad Racer songs, for the purposes of this video, song A, B, and C, in the order of which they are heard when you select them by pressing down while you're driving. Anyway, I'll preface this like I always do by saying that this list is just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion, so feel free to leave yours in the comments. I encourage discussion and debate. So without any more bullshit, let's get on with the list. Number 5, song B from Rad Racer 1. The main riff is The Saints Go Marching In. Nothing wrong with Saints Go Marching In, but I feel like this was meant to be an original, because every other part of the song has nothing to do with The Saints Go Marching In. So because of that, this riff feels very tacked on, and doesn't quite feel like it fits. I will say, though, that when the riff in question is being played, there's a much different beat playing behind it than you'll ever hear Saints Go Marching In being played, at least in any rendition that I've ever heard, and the tempo is much faster too, which helps it fit into the game more, but I always just felt a little off-put by it. Number 4, song C from Rad Racer 1. It has a dancey intro, and the verse is similar in feel, but has a different riff, and the percussion is kicked up a notch. And then it goes into a bridge that's pretty much a busier variation of the intro riff, but it's executed in such a way that it barely seems like a callback, which is cool. And even though the bridge is the same riff 4 times in a row, there's a couple key changes in the last 2 measures that helps mix things up. Number 3, Gumball Crash from Rad Racer 2. Definitely the catchiest song on either soundtrack. Not counting the intro that resembles a countdown to starting a race, there are 3 different sections, all of them following a similar formula. The verse repeats the same riff 4 times, but it's a different variation of notes on the 2nd and 4th measures. Then the bridge comes in and it's 2 measures that are similar, just different variations of each other. And then finally, the refrain has 2 different riffs that repeat, but again, they change things up between the 2nd and 4th measures. It's fairly predictable, but there's still plenty of variety, and every section segues flawlessly from one section to the next. I particularly love the way the notes slide when it transitions from the bridge to the refrain. And while there aren't any fancy solos like you'll find in Rad Racer 1, it's catchy as hell from beginning to end. It'll be stuck in your head all goddamn day. Number 2, Coast to Coast from Rad Racer 2. This song isn't as much of an earworm as Gumball Crash, but I like it more mainly because it has more dynamics. Each section is quite different from each other, and even the ones that come back, like there's a breakdown that segues the verse to the bridge, then back to the bridge again, and then into a solo before ending the loop back to the verse again. But even those 2 breakdowns are different from each other. There are little nuances, the timing is a little different between them, and the bridges are completely different riffs. It's essentially 2 completely different bridges that serve the same purpose. It's not the most complex song in the world to play or anything, but there's a lot going on in the structure. And that's not to say that it's bare bones and the guts of it all, there's just a lot of layering. In fact, one of my favorite things about the song are the little background accent riffs while the lead rings out from time to time. Just a very satisfying package of a song from front to back. And number 1, song A from Rad Racer 1. Holy shit, they should have called this song Ramen, because there's so much noodling going on here. But it's at no point ever too much or noodling just for the sake of being showy. It's very melodic and satisfying, but it's still busy as hell. Even the bass and drums are all over the place, and yet it's never overboard. On top of that, there are several sections. You don't hear too many repeated measures, so it always sounds fresh. And even the parts that do come back are sometimes different. Like the Crazy as Hell intro is played again later to bring the loop back, but it's only half the length that it was before. It completely throws you for a loop, no pun intended. Another repeated section, but not really, is the breakdown. It's a callback to the main riff, but the beat just changes it up completely. Insane. So that's it for this list. Here is a quick recap. Number 5, song B. Number 4, song C. Number 3, Gumball Crash. Number 2, Coast to Coast. And number 1, song A. So that's it for this list. What are your thoughts? What do you agree with and disagree with? And how would you rank it yourself? Feel free to leave those comments in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.